All right, good morning, everybody. It's Tech Tuesday here with Broker Bob, your favorite broker. Today, in our broker bot training, what we're going to cover is another workflow that I've put up. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started on this. Let me share my screen so you can all see where we are today. All right, so here we are in the new workflow. So, let me just go back and explain again what is a workflow. A workflow is something that I have set up and pre-programmed within the system. When you log into BrokerBot and you go to select new chat on here in the top left, and you'll get the welcome screen. Welcome to Ellie. How can I help you today? I've set up these workflows to make your life easier. So if you've never logged into Ellie, or BrokerBot and you want to start from the beginning, you would select this one right here, learn how to leverage Ellie. This will walk you through what BrokerBot is, how you can use it, give you some examples, and kind of give you a tutorial of what Ellie is. And I've broken up the main screen into kind of like group the workflows and kind of like what were the ones that were more similar to each other. So save time, ask Ellie is really what an agent would be using their workflow for tools to help save them time when they're doing their normal jobs of when they're in a transaction. So you can do a CMA, you can do contract review, you can get a seller net sheet, a buyer net sheet. And the new one that I put in here today is the inspection report, the analyzer, and I'm going to walk through that today. And then the other section is marketing and social media. So if you want to build a 4 post social media campaign for open houses, so if you got an open house coming up this weekend and you want to come up with some great posts, Ellie will do that for you. And then there's also an 8-week social media campaign that you can put together. Now it's going to ask you questions, so be prepared to give the answers when it's asking to help you build that social media campaign. It would be helpful to know if you are going to a particular market, a certain geographic area, or you want to go after a certain type of sale, maybe a divorce specialist or for sale by owners or expireds, or maybe you want to do mid-century modern type homes, which I have a client that does that. And then, of course, the image generation is to do some virtual staging. I don't use that as much. I know a lot of agents do here at the program. And then coaching. This isn't a replacement for your coach here at the Market Center, but Ella can help you create a unique value proposition. So if you've never done a unique value proposition, so you can help sell yourself to new clients that you want to sell. It does help if you can figure out and uncover what that is. And then it's a 90-day action plan is the next one. You got some script practice. And then this one was set up last week. So if you missed last week's session, go back. It's on our YouTube channel. Get recommended by AI. There's 7 steps, and you want to do these in order. First one is digital footprint audit, a Google business profile, create a bio that AI can find, discover the questions and buyers or sellers are asking on AI, create content AI wants to recommend you, reverse engineer what AI is looking for, and then build your complete AI toolkit. Again, go back and listen to that. I don't want to go into those today. What I want to do is cover the ones that your inspection report analyzer and how to put a request for repair or ask for a seller credit. So this one's really great because what it's going to do is several things. It's going to help you once you get your inspection report done in escrow, it's going to help you go and analyze that report and figure out, well, what do I really want to do with my report? What I want to guide my buyer through this transaction? Do I want to ask for all these repairs to be made? Do I want to actually ask for a credit? So let me walk through. I actually went through and did um, an inspection on actually my property that I bought in November of last year. And so once you click on, so let me just run through this. Once you click on that workflow on the main page, this message up here is going to come in. It's going to say, I'd be happy to help you work through this inspection report and build a repair request strategy. Let's take this step by step. So share the findings. So at that point, that's when you will upload the property inspection report so Ellie can have it. And once you've got the report loaded, Um, I did put this right here. Help me analyze the report and develop a strategy for requesting repairs. So once I uploaded that, it says, good, I've got the full report parsed out. Let me go through it. And then once Ellie goes through it, the inspection report analysis on the property, it goes through and it does three separate steps in there. First, it prioritizes all the findings. So it does tier one, health and safety. These are the strongest negotiating leverage. In this particular example, water heater, draft diverter, sediment trap missing, damaged water, weatherproof outlet, and a missing battery cover on the smoke detector. So it's going to bring the most important thing that are health and safety first and categorize them. So it did that one. And then the next one was tier two, where it's functional and water damage risk. So it talked about the plumbing, corroded shutoff valves throughout the home, and a metal brass drain line and P-trap at primary bath was the issue. It also does ask, is there a plumber's bid to repair this stuff already? So there are companies out there that once you get the property inspection report, that you can upload that report and they'll go and quote out everything that needs to be done on the property. I discovered that on my last escrow when I bought this house. Made it really convenient. I didn't use it, but at least they can quote it out. And then it again gives you each item. Item number 7, toilet fill valve runs intermittently, gap at hall bathtub faucet, missing inoperable drain stopper, corrosion deterioration of primary bath shower. All this stuff is what we in the business like to call weekend warrior stuff. Weekend warrior meaning more than likely, as a buyer's not going to ask typically, and this is my professional opinion. You might have a different opinion. But a buyer typically is not going to ask for a seller to repair all these little nitpicky stuff. In some cases, buyers are going to want to come into the property and Chris, you'll remember this. I remember learning the term weekend warrior. It was our first few years when we were working together, when we were down in Little Italy, you had this little French cottage in North Park, and you were representing the buyer, I believe. And I learned the term weekend warrior from, I believe, Gail. She talked about that. Somebody did.
Hmm.
Anyways, so all this weekend warrior stuff is going to be stuff that mostly some buyers will say, just give me a credit because I want to come in and repair it after close of escrow. And then tier three on this one was HVAC and mechanical. Now, because at that time that the inspector was there, I didn't know that I needed to get a key to access the HVAC unit, which was on the roof. That did get taken care of later. I couldn't find that they went when they did the follow-up, they sent me an email. I just didn't have it at that point. I uploaded this. And then tier four, kitchen interior and cosmetic stuff. And so it points out everything that was in the report, item by item. And then step four is what stands out. What's a few observations you think about the strategy? Well, the water heater's a cluster. I knew this going in that it would probably have to be replaced because it was at or near the end of its useful life. There was a corroded shutoff valve. That was important. It said the inaccessible AC unit is a risk. Now that got taken care of later. And then many of the tier four items, delaminating cabinets, mirror, shower, are typical for an 11 to 20-year-old condo and may not be worth pushing hard on. So this is helpful language when you're dealing with a buyer that is like, oh my God, all this stuff is wrong on the inspection report. No, this is a typical inspection report on an 11 to 20-year-old condo. And this is what we call the weekend warrior stuff. So you might want to just pick your battles and not and tell your buyer, maybe we don't ask for this, maybe we just ask for a credit. So then the next step it asks, which of these items does your client want to pursue? Once you have their direction, I'll draft a client-facing summary email with plain language explanations of each selected item. And after their feedback, an agent-to-agent email and contract-ready repair request language. And then it says, do you have any contractor bids or quotes in hand yet? If not, recommend getting at least a plumber's estimate for the valve replacement and the water heater items before finalizing. These are likely your biggest ticket asks. So what I did and it's not showing up, unfortunately, but what I did was I went and said, hey, here's the situation. This is a second escrow. The first escrow canceled because the buyer backed out. So I kind of know these sellers are pretty much not one to go through a third escrow, and I know that they are at a point where they'll probably do anything that I ask within a good amount, but don't over ask. So what I really want to focus on is a repair credit, and I'll take care of the water heater after I move in on the house. So I want to ask for a repair credit of X dollars. So can you do both? I want you to do the client-facing summary email with plain language explanation of each selected item. And then after that, I ask for it to do the agent-to-agent email and contract-ready repair request language. So Ellie said, great strategy, Robert. A credit keeps things clean, avoids retrade delays, and lets the buyer handle everything on their own timeline post-close. And knowing this is a second escrow and the sellers are motivated, you've got a little leverage. So let me draft both emails now. So what it does, because I have my KW email configured in here, it went in and put the draft emails in there and it created the draft email. So this is what it looks like, where all you then need to go in is edit this and say, hello, client, I've reviewed the home inspection report and I wanted to walk through the key findings of our recommended approach. And hopefully you guys can all read that. Let me see if I can expand it. They're all expanded for you. Summary. So it summarizes what's in the inspection report. What are the key findings? Talks about the plumbing. What are the additional items worth noting? And then what's next? So rather than you going through report bit by bit by bit by bit and creating this email to draft to your client, Ellie did it for you and made it so it saved you probably a half hour of you doing this on your own. So that's the one thing for the actual email communication to your buyer. And then the next email that it wrote was actually to the agent that says, we've reviewed the inspection report and we want to come straightforward proposal that gets us to the finish line cleanly. Rather than going item by item and drawing this out, my buyers are proposing a credit in lieu of repairs of X dollars to be applied at closing. Here's the thinking. So it tells you, I said, come up with a strategy to sell this to the listing agent so this listing agent can sell it to their buyers or their sellers. The water heater is the biggest item. It's a 2013 unit, 12 years old, and at the end of its service life, and the inspection flagged several immediate issues: a misaligned exhaust, missing sediment trap, an inoperable circulating pump. Realistically, your sellers would be looking at the replacement costs whether they address this piece or not. A credit lets everyone move on without scheduling plumbers, permits, and re-inspections. Beyond the water heater, there are corroded shutoff valves throughout the unit and deteriorating drain lines at the primary bath, items that any buyer would flag. The remaining findings are all minor, and my buyers are prepared to handle those on their own after closing. Here's the bottom line. This is the second escrow on this property. Both sides want this closed. A credit is the cleanest, fastest path here. No repair delays, no re-inspections, no retrades. Your sellers sign off, we close, and everyone walks away with a done deal. Let me know if this works on your end, and I'll get the paperwork over. Happy to hop on a call if that helps. How much time did that save you? Chris, how about you? You're on mute.
A lot.
A lot. So what it did, it tells me that all the drafts are created, the client email, the agent to agent email, and I liked what it did in the agent to agent email. It helped you sell it to that listing agent without you having to come up with the sell items. And so it put both drafts in a placeholder, which was in my sent folder, and it does ask me, do I want to adjust the tone, the emphasis, or add any other items to the justification? Again, it's saved in your drafts. Here's what I put in there. This is now it's showing it. From a strategy standpoint, I want to recommend a credit for repairs. This is a second escrow for the property. I know the sellers are probably easier to negotiate. The small items can be done post-close, and since the water heater is at or near the end of its useful life, let's develop a plan to ask for a credit, draft a summary email to a client suggesting this credit, then draft the email to agent that a buyer credit will take care of it, and we will call it a day and have a successful close of escrow. Give a good sell in the email to tell the agent so they convince the sellers to give a credit. Leave the amount blank for now. Just put XXX dollars. So that's it, lickety split. That makes it easy for you guys to put something together that won't take any time and you're good to go. So that's the one workflow I wanted to cover today. Do I have any questions from anybody
Mhm.
or any comments? Now, in the same respect, if you're not uploading your purchase documents to help with the strategy to formulate a letter to send to this listing agent about why your buyers are coming in at this price and why they feel it justified to offer this price. So if you're coming in below list price, use Ellie to help you with a strategy for an email in that offer to go out to the listing agent. It's really good at very easy at doing stuff like this. So that's kind of all I had today for Ellie. Does anybody have any questions on Ellie or other things you can use it for? I know we're only 18 minutes in, but it's a short work week because of the holiday, and I didn't want to overwhelm you guys this week. All right, guys, I have no questions, so I appreciate your time today. Hope you learned something. Everybody have a nice and safe 4th of